Okay, good morning everyone. I've got 25 minutes to tell you what the future of digital marketing looks like, so we're going to get this going and we'll see how we get on with this. My name's Rowles. I am CEO of a company called Target Internet. If you're not familiar, we work with lots and lots of brands that you will know very well, helping them upskill their teams. So essentially a kind of training company, online training company. We train the teams at Google and Apple and lots of other places. I'm a program director and associate professor at Imperial College, where I head up digital marketing, digital transformation, and some bits of data science. And I do something called the Digital Marketing Podcast, which is a global top 20 business podcast now as well. And I've written some books, which I promise not to mention at all as we're going through things. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about three things this morning. We'll do artificial intelligence, which we kind of have to talk about at the moment. We'll do data and trust, and then I'm going to finish up talking a little bit about community and how we can deal with all of these things as well. Now, as I go through, I'm going to try and give you lots and lots of tools that you can take away. So hopefully this will be very practical for you and you can take this stuff away and use it. At the end, there's a toolkit you can download and it's got everything that I talk about listed in it. So you don't need to make loads of notes. You can grab all that stuff at the end as well. So let's start with artificial intelligence. Talk about where it is now and where it's going. And there's some really radical changes that have happened literally in the last 7 days. So I'll kind of introduce you to that. So first of all, quick show of hands. How many of you had a play with ChatGPT so far? So that's kind of 90% of you. How many of your organizations have got a generative AI strategy? One, okay? One person out there. That's kind of where we are, right? So it's all very exciting. There's loads of stuff going on. We might think it's really useful. We might think it's a load of rubbish. But we need to build some plans. And it's moving very, very quickly. The art of creating prompts for these generative AIs, and by the way, a generative AI is just an AI that generates something. So it could be written text, it could be audio, it could be video, or anything else. But there is an art to prompting these things. So first tool, any of you that do any search engine optimization work might be familiar with Keywords Everywhere. Keywords Everywhere is a little extension that goes into Google Chrome. If you put it into Google Chrome and you go into ChatGPT now, it's got a little prompt assistant for free, and it will help you write prompts. So I've gone in here, and it's given me this prompt, and it says, please ignore all previous instructions, because otherwise your previous conversation is going to have an impact. Please respond only in English. ChatGPT is learning Spanish at the moment, and it starts speaking in kind of Spanglish a little bit sometimes as well. You're an expert copywriter that speaks and writes fluent English. Do not self-reference, because otherwise it will write stuff and reference itself. Do not explain what you're doing, because otherwise it will go through and tell you why it's doing things, okay? Write a witty BAB, before, after, bridge marketing campaign for, and I just put the word puppies in, okay? And he's gone through and he's done this nice little bit of writing. The ability to go through and write these prompts well will have a huge impact on what it's going to output. So it's a skill that we need to be learning, and that's kind of where we are now. The thing I liked about this is it was quite creative as well. It came up with a company name who selects puppies and matches them to people, and it was called Positively Yours, which I thought was quite nice. But, you know, we're kind of aware of this, and this is kind of where it is. I wanted to talk about where it's going. The problem we've got is that this is generating more and more noise. And if there's one problem we've had in digital marketing for a long time, is cutting through that layer of noise. Okay, so this is something called Internet Live Stats. Just draw your attention to the one in the middle. 4 million blog posts written so far today at about the time we're at the moment. Okay, that number is growing more and more quickly because loads of people are just pumping out lots of low quality content. We don't need more low quality content. What we need is more really great content. So I'm going to talk about how you can achieve that. Also this vanity metrics thing we're obsessed with as well. If you see the YouTube number down there, more YouTube videos watched than Google search is done. That's really misleading because actually it's YouTube videos being started. The average view duration now is about 4 seconds of people just going, no, going through it. So if your video comes on and the first 8 seconds is a jingle, you're going to lose loads of people. So just quick practical tip, we re-edited all of our videos. So the first bit is me comes on and says, we're going to talk about this in this video. Then we do the jingle, then we get into it. It doubled the amount of people watching for 30 seconds or more. So we've got to try and cut through this noise. But I wanted to talk about the future. But we're going to have some ethical challenges with all this stuff. So this is from Jasper AI. It's a really good writing assistant that has kind of ChatGPT in the background. In the toolkit I'm going to give you, there's 10,000 free words with this, so you can play around with it, see what you think. All I've done is put in PDCA model, which is the plan, do, check, act model, a model for iteration. And I put professional tone of voice, and I've hit go. And it's written some copy, just like ChatGPT. The thing is, how do I know if this has just been copied from somewhere online? Is this actually original? So, what I've gone in, there's a little plagiarism check button. I've hit the plagiarism check button, and it's gone through and says, no, this is completely unique. So that's great. This is where the ethical challenge comes in. If I've set my students at Imperial College a task to write something, one, they're going to use this probably. Okay, I can't stop them doing that, and I can't detect if this is AI-generated content. Now, there are tools being created, AI tools to detect AI-generated content. It all gets a bit meta. But actually, there's a button in here. If I select that first paragraph and I hit rewrite, it will rewrite it and make it undetectable where the source material came from. Amazon is full of books where they've just taken other people's books and put it through something like this. And there's a lot of people making a lot of money from that at the moment. Okay? So we're going to have some ethical quandaries that we kind of get into as we go through this. So I'll come back to that. But I wanted to talk about the future. So there was this thing, AI agents, that started being talked about. Has anyone come across this yet? One or two people. Okay. So it came out, and the idea is you give it a starting instruction. Okay? So I've gone in here, and I've said, plan a marketing strategy to promote Jersey and the Channel Islands, because that's where I live, to attract tourists with a high level of disposable income. Okay? So that's the instruction. Step one, develop a task list. Okay? And then I just put the number of iterations I want it to go through. So I'm up at 10 iterations. So, step one, develop a task list. What does it do? It goes off and generates a task list. Okay? So, number one, gather data on potential target markets, including demographic profiles, disposable income levels, geographic locations. 2, research current marketing programs. 3, establish, it's a pretty good marketing breakdown. Okay? So then you get next iteration, right, do task 1. And it goes off and says, right, I'll research customer preferences and behavior related to travel and tourism in the Channel Islands by... And it kind of goes off. The problem with it, up until about 7 days ago, was it tell you what it was going to do, but it couldn't then go and do it. Because it couldn't look things up, and it couldn't generate PDFs, and it couldn't go through and look up insights and kind of work them out. It can now do that. So if you think about this, you give it a starting instruction, you hit go, and it will go off, and it will refine it and refine it. And where this has really come from is the fact that we've now got plugins within ChatGPT that are accessible via API. We can program them, okay? So I've gone in here, and I've literally typed in, look up insights to build a persona of a digital marketing manager, including average salaries, frustrations in regards to their career, and what they want. And it's gone off, and it's used the Wolfram plugin automatically and the World News plugin, and it's gone off and went, here's a persona for a digital marketing manager, average salaries UK, US, responsibilities, frustrations. Right, if we look at the first 2 frustrations, keeping up with the latest digital marketing trends can be challenging due to the rapid pace of change. Proving return on investment to their marketing activities can be difficult. That sounds pretty familiar to me. So the reality is, suddenly these tools are becoming way, way more capable, but unless you're looking at this every day, you wouldn't really be aware of it. So we need a strategy, we need a plan. And you need to start by building a policy and a strategy, and then you're going to need to iterate it. But if you're not, you're going to get disrupted. Digital transformation is just saying, where are we now? Where do we need to be in order to operate in this environment? And what we're trying to do is avoid being disrupted. And to do that, we need to disrupt ourselves. So we're going to need to start looking at this stuff pretty quickly. So I'll come back to the AI bit in a moment. Right, data and trust. This is when things start getting really weird, okay? So first of all, some simple stuff. Third-party cookies start getting blocked, okay? I think this confuses people a lot. So if I'm in a browser, I go to a website, and I see an ad, and a cookie is set on my machine. It's not the first party, it's not the website. It's not the advertiser, the second party. It's generally the ad network that are setting the cookie. And in this case, I put GDN, Google Display Network, showing me ads across 3 million different websites. Safari comes along and says, yeah, we're going to start blocking those cookies. So suddenly, Google's got loads less data. So the reaction to that is a bit of a pivot, a bit of a shift. And that's to suddenly start using machine learning for matching ads. This is a Performance Max campaign. I've pointed it out on my website. It's looked up loads of images, loads of logos. It's gone in, put in loads of text, headings, all that kind of stuff. And it's automatically mixing them up, generating loads of ads and showing them to different people, and then working out which ones work best. How many of you are running any Performance Max at the moment? Brilliant. So there's probably about 5% you doing this. Average click-through rates of a Google ad might be maybe 3 to 5% if you had really good best practice ads. Okay? We're getting 18% on these with our clients at the moment. Okay? Just because the machine learning algorithm isn't having to compete with that many people by nature of not many people doing it. Now, a little tip with this, when you go into GA4, so I'm sure you'll be speaking about GA4 later on today, but essentially anything from this won't show up as a Google ad, it will show up as cross-network. So if you start seeing cross-network and think, what on earth's that? It's because they don't really want to tell you exactly what worked, because otherwise they won't get to use the machine learning kind of stuff anymore. But they're doing brilliantly. So there's a pivot kind of towards machine learning, but there's less transparent data. Because the problem with this is you lose control of your brand a little bit. You don't know what ad's going to show, what headline, what image, all those kind of things. So it's a bit of a black box. So there's some trust issues around that. Now, you've been listening to my voice for a few minutes. If you listen to the podcast, you'd be very used to my voice. The tool that we use to edit the podcast is called Descript. And Descript, I upload the audio, it automatically transcribes it for me, and then I can go through and I can drag and drop bits of text, and it'll actually edit the audio for me, or rearrange it, and all that kind of stuff. If I interview someone, and they've got a bit of a vocal tick, so they or they one button deletes the lot. Absolutely brilliant tool. The unnerving thing about it is it's learnt my voice, okay? So I'm going to play you me saying something, but it's not me saying it, okay?
Welcome back to the Digital Marketing Podcast. My name's Daniel Rowles, and I'll be your host through the fast-changing world of digital skills.
Same text.
Welcome back to the Digital Marketing Podcast. My name is Daniel Rowles, and I'll be your host through the fast-changing world of digital skills.
So the first one is virtual me, okay? If I've got an hour of your voice, I can deep fake you with this tool for free, okay? That means you can't trust anything you hear anymore, okay? Now, if I just play this for a second, again, if you see the transcription, I've spelled podcast and I've put an R in it, okay? It's not a typo. Let me just play it again. Let me go back.
Welcome back to the
So
Digital
look out for the R in podcast, right?
My name's Daniel Rowles, and I'll be your host through the fast...
So the reason for that is if I get the other voice to say it normally, it says podcast, because it's kind of a bit American. You notice the American AI voice afterwards said that. So I put the R in to get it kind of saying it a little bit more like I would as well. But I can deep fake anyone, okay? So that's a bit nerve-wracking. Now, we do this podcast. We get about 150,000 listeners per episode. And I took out a paragraph of me speaking, and I put in virtual me doing it. Nobody noticed, okay? So we're getting into some weird kind of trust stuff. Then, Meta, so originally Facebook, changed their name to Meta. And on the idea, it's all going to be about the metaverse, okay? So they put their virtual reality headsets on, and then I can have a meeting with you, and these two little cartoon characters can kind of speak to each other. And you think to yourself, why would you bother, okay? Why wouldn't you just do a Zoom call, okay? Now, I think that's a little bit dismissive of it, but if you look at this will kind of give you some context.
All you need for the scan is your phone, and you can pretty much do this anywhere with reasonable lighting. She scans her face from different angles with a neutral expression for about 30 seconds, then spends another minute and a half making a variety of expressions. That's really all there is to it.
Hi guys, my 3D avatar is ready for use in my phone or VR. It just took a few hours to generate after my scan, and the team's working on making that processing a whole lot faster. Now, obviously, this isn't the same quality as you just saw with the 2.0 codec avatars. However, they're still pretty expressive and realistic. We're putting a whole lot of effort into developing these so anyone can easily create their own high-quality, realistic avatar for themselves.
I'm pretty sure if I saw that on a Zoom call, I wouldn't have noticed it was an avatar, okay? If you see what Apple is doing with the new Apple headset, and when you're wearing the headset, if you do a FaceTime call, they don't want you sitting there with a massive headset on, so they do a virtual you. They do a very similar thing to this as well. So you can't believe anything you hear. We're getting to the point where very quickly you won't believe anything that you see as well, okay? So it's getting a little bit weird. This will take it a whole stage further. This is a product called Mojo. It's a real product. It's an augmented reality contact lens. Okay, you stick this thing in your eye, you have a little transceiver, and it will overlay things on the top of what you're seeing. Now, what you can't see from this is it comes out so much you can't blink. Okay, it's got a bit of a curve to it. This is originally from a Samsung product that was about 3 years ago, and we're at Mobile World Congress, and the guy from Samsung comes out, and the original version was 5 millimeters thick, so you couldn't close your eyes. The second version, you had a little power cable coming out of each eye, which is a little bit disgusting. This one's got a battery in it, so I don't know how you feel about putting a battery in your eye, okay? But the guy comes out, the original presentation, slightly broken English, so everyone was really kind of paying attention, and walked onto stage and said, imagine that you have a pet cat. Everyone looked very, very confused, but you wish that you had a pet dog. When you look at your cat, it will look like a dog, okay? Now, you don't have to work out very far. My wife is not going to be looking at this for very much longer, right? There'll be Brad Pitt or someone walking around the house. But what does it mean when you can change what things look like? Okay? Now, this is a prototype product. So this will be real in 2 years, 5 years, 10, certainly in 10 years. Okay? Any of you watch Black Mirror? Loads of you, right? Charlie Brooker is very good at hooking into these things that are on the kind of precipice of happening as well. So we've got a world where we can't believe anything we hear, we won't be able to believe anything we see, and we better change what things look like. Okay? That is a bit mind-blowing. We'll discuss it a little bit later on. So that is what brings us on to the final piece of this whole thing. Community. What do I mean by that? I'm going to use this expression a few times, and it was a Professor Celia Moore that put this in my mind. And she basically said we need to lean into our humanity in these situations. Okay? Think about, for your organization, your agency, what actually makes you kind of human? What is it that about that human relationship really makes a difference? Okay? The fact that we're all here today, we're all in a kind of group of people together, it's pretty powerful. Okay? And obviously in COVID, we moved to do more stuff online, but there's still something about this that makes a big difference. So we need to think, well, if everything can be done virtually and I don't even need to be there, what's important about me? What actually differentiates us? So we've been through 3 stages of marketing according to McKinsey. Okay? So you've got mass media, broadcast, all the stuff, the kind of madman area of advertising. Okay, that's great. Then we moved into where we should be now, which is I've got all this data, and I can use this data in my single customer view to give you the right stuff at the right time in the right channel, so it cuts through all of this noise, and I'm able to really resonate with what's important to you. I understand your customer journey, I understand the persona. I would suggest we're not that great at this yet, okay? That we still got a lot of work to go with this, and there's still a lot of opportunity. But that's what marketing's all about. It's about trying to do all this kind of stuff better. Where we're then moving into is this idea of community of shared relevance, of actually building advocacy. So we're obsessed with influencers, but actually this idea of going, how many people love my stuff? How many people will tell other people they love it? How can I get those people speaking to each other? That's kind of where the powerful bit is. So for us, we sell this kind of online learning stuff. What's actually powerful is the podcast, because the podcast is us speaking to people, and then we use, very basically, email to then actually have a two-way combination with people through an email newsletter and the social media we have. And we build advocacy, and we reward our advocates. And if anyone says something nice about us, we send them free stuff, and we engage with them, we invite them to events and things like that. And you build that leverage. Now, we worked out how we could build an AI training tool. So you would go in and say, I want to learn about SEO, and it would go, right, this is a good structure for that. Right, let's go. And it would start teaching you stuff. And we decided to can it. Because he said, can you trust what it's telling you? 100%? Is that really reflective of our brand? So actually what I'd say is, in a period of lack of trust, investing in brand and leaning into what makes us human actually becomes the really important piece with all this as well. Okay? So if you think, well, I can't build a community around what I do, it's not exciting. HubSpot sell CRM software, okay? CRM is not exciting, okay? But they have this amazingly engaged community. And if any of you have been to Inbound, so Inbound is their big conference every year, it's just epic. It's got to bring in loads of people together. Obama was the keynote speaker last year. So there's this great community of people that come together, and there's lots of opportunities for networking and so on as well. So the reality is you can build a community around anything. You just need to work out what is it that makes you human. Can we lean into that and actually create that connection? So we can use these tools, but we need to go through and make sure we kind of lean into that side of our things as well. I'm coming up to running out of time. So what I want to do is leave you with some resources that you can take away. So let me just talk you through this. So if you ping an email to that address, the team will send you back a load of links. Okay, so first of all, the slides and all the videos, you've got those if you want them. We do the digital marketing skills benchmark in partnership with the Chartered Institute of Marketing. So if you want to benchmark your own skills, or if you've got a team you want to benchmark that, you can do it for free. Okay? And there's a report that you can download in there as well. Every single one of the websites that I mentioned is in that toolkit. And there's free trials of that Jasper AI. We've got no commercial association, but there's 10,000 words you can play with that as well. And then if you want the podcast, we've done loads of podcasts on this in a bit more depth, where you've got a bit more than 25 minutes to kind of get into all this kind of AI stuff as well, okay? That's my time up. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be around at the break. Come and say hi, and we'll have a chat. Thank you.